Tonight, we check out Donald's new Epiphone. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. We've been reviewing so many high-end, expensive, inspired by Gibson custom shop Epiphones on the channel lately. We're gonna check one out that's cool, but not as breaking the bank. First off, pretty cool. I don't think I've seen one of these before. It reminds me of the Epilight case, but it's not the Epilight case. It's a little bit more of a flimsy bag. When all these new Epiphone models came out back in 2020, they didn't have anything. But this is a new Sweetwater Exclusive model. It's still the baseline SG Custom that Epiphone offers for $629, but this one is a little bit more expensive at just under $700 because they changed up a few things to make it signature for them. So we've still got the Kalamazoo style headstock, that newer one, just not the full-on Gibson open book headstock shape. Nothing wrong with that. Still have that cool ebony fretboard with our pearloid block inlays. This model is usually only available in the ebony color. That's a solid finish, you can't see through it, so when Sweetwater spec'd theirs out, they decided to go for a flame maple top veneer and to make it a translucent finish all over. So if you're a fan of wood grain on the back of your guitar and not having to worry about as much polishing swirls and scratches, I can totally see why these had to cost a little bit more. But the thing to know about Epiphone SGs when they use a flame veneer, it's only on the top. So sometimes on the cherry ones, they can look a little bit weird because you have that ribbon mahogany flame for some, and then it's just a plain mahogany look on the side. You still have that effect on this one, but honestly, I kind of dig it because now it's like a light blue top with the dark blue edges. It works incredibly well. There's just something about that cherry hue and tradition just made those look a little bit strange, but that's actually pretty cool. But if SGs aren't exactly your thing, Sweetwater has other models offered in the Viper Blue finish. Visiting their website, I counted 12 within the Epiphone and Gibson branding. Look at these really sweet Viper Blue Les Paul customs and even some acoustics. If anybody's interested in new guitar dang one of those, feel free to hit me up. As far as the contents of our gig bag, nothing too crazy. Just your usual Gibson app type thing and other Epiphone stickers. As far as the interior, it's nothing too crazy. You don't have a locking neck rest or anything like that. It's about 1/2 inch foam on each side. Certainly a lot better than nothing. I also have the backpack straps. It makes it easy to take to lessons or gigs. Let's go ahead and throw this one on the workbench to take an individual look at its parts and specs before we get to a playing sample. Viewing it from this angle reminds me of the early 2000s SG Supremes that had that midnight blue finish. Because that dark blue border, now I realize why it works, because it kind of looks like an edge border. But let's go ahead and check these pickups out. We've got the Epipro 2 in the neck, and the Epipro 3 in the bridge. And here you can see the long neck tenon construction. Then the bridge pickup cavity shows us more of that bare mahogany wood. And that's just our QR code. That'll take you to the product page. And you also have your serial number put there. But these cavities are very rough. I mean, they don't look bad, but the feel right here is rough. This sticker is just barely hanging on if it wasn't for the finish. But this is additional confirmation that this is just a paper thin veneer because there is no maple top exposed. But the readings within the circuit, 8K in the bridge, 7.73 in the neck, and the middle just for fun, a little less than 4. The bridge and tailpiece are your typical Epiphone stuff, the Locktone series, with those barbs to help them stay in place unless you're really trying to take it off. And the same thing on the tailpiece, still Epiphone branded. Now I know why it looks like the early Supremes, is because I took the pick guards off, so this is what it would look like. Yes, you will have to deal with some screw holes, and this, it does indeed have a plastic film over it to protect it from scratches. And despite this being a veneer, it's not just a photo veneer. This is actually real wood. It does move in the light. It's just hard to show you without all the reflections. As far as your controls, very basic. 2 volumes, 2 tones, 1 for each pickup set, 3-way toggle switch, no push-pull pots or anything like that. An output jack is located on the front. This is a regular thickness SG, about 1.5 inches. But moving on from our mahogany body, we've got the mahogany neck with an ebony fretboard, which is really nice on an Epiphone because most of them will have the Indian laurel. Nice when you can get something different, but these are the acrylic block inlays. They're not fancy mother of pearl like the inspired by Gibson custom shop stuff. The frets are reasonably shiny for a import guitar. I measure a 1.71 inch nut width, increasing to 210 by the 12th, 0.81 first fret neck depth, and 0.87 12th. Here's that neck at the 1st fret and the 12th fret. It has that pretty typical skinny, wide feeling neck.
Now we'll move on to our headstock. So the truss rod cover screw is kind of like what we saw underneath the pickguard. It looks like maybe it's just a delamination of the finish. Most people don't leave their truss rod cover off, but some do. So that might matter to somebody, but you could also make the argument they don't really care about aesthetics if they're going to leave that off for functionality, just to adjust it when they need it. But you've got your mother of pearl Epiphone logo, as well as our big old custom block with our multiply binding. And I kind of like these doofy little Grover tuners on it. I'd never realized that before until I started to de-string it. That's like, okay, those smaller profile ones actually work pretty good with this headstock. And now we move on to the back. Wait till you see this control cavity. That is surprisingly clean and nice looking. They actually have all the pots and wires soldered onto it as they put them into the guitar. Then they have this white connector that when they put the pickups in, they just have to connect that. So it's not a PCB, it's just a connector system to make that part easier. Kind of like a cross blending of all that. I actually enjoy that. Because then if you want to try a different style of Epiphone pickup, or you just want to have somebody solder these leads onto a different pickup to put on there, it can be done. Overall, I would say this gives the illusion of kind of a one-piece back. I mean, yeah, we've got this weird thing going on there, but it could just be like a really ringy wood grain. So I was curious, are they actually using a back veneer as well? And I believe the answer is yes, because you can see a very clear, almost 2x4 like piece right here, and it's a dark finish, it's hard to see, but I see a few other seam lines that do not line up with the back. For example, that one that we saw runs like right here. So I do believe they're not only prettying up the top, but also the back. But now I'm curious, do they actually bother to go through that process for the ebony finished ones? I doubt it. That's probably why these ended up being a little bit more expensive besides just the top veneer. Got a strap button at the bottom, as well as right here at the heel. Here's a look at that heel join. Seems to have a little bit more of a shelf than usual. And running up the back side of the neck, again, you can see the wood grain. And here's our scarf joint, so it's a two-piece neck. And there's the mini Grover tuners. I'm curious if this will neck dive. That's probably why they put that on there, to help prevent that. But our serial number takes it to the year 2023. But all said and done, we're just a hair over 7 pounds. So let's go ahead, plug this one in, and hear how it sounds. First, the neck dive test. Yep, but it's not the worst. I don't feel like I'm constantly supporting the neck. It just kind of is there. Now, if you're a singer and you want to start singing and grabbing your mic, yeah, then you might have issues, unless you have your arm like this. Nothing wrong with those clean tones. Obnoxiously warm neck, but yet not overly muddy. Not really ice picky. Has a nice warmness as well. Both of them together. So I'd say that's a win in the clean department. Now let's try some distortion.
That's always one of my test riffs because you can tell how muddy or clear a pickup is. That's ridiculously clear. This one gets a little bit muddy on chords, works decently on solos. So what are my final thoughts on the Viper Blue SG Custom? I was really impressed. We've been reviewing a lot of those really high-end Epiphones, and yeah, it's great to have Gibson electronics and like upgraded hardware and pots and all that other good stuff. But I've forgotten just how good these mid-range Epiphones are, you know, in that $400 to $800 price point. They're essentially just the same husks of those higher-end ones, except for they have maybe more multi-piece bodies, not quite as fancy of inlay materials, and the multi-piece necks, but man, at the end of the day, that's just kind of gear snobbery stuff. Does it really matter? I mean, yeah, there's a certain level to it, but on an instrument like this, I actually quite enjoyed it, sometimes even better than some of the other higher end ones. I like the way that the neck is set into the body on this. It's really easy to play every single fret and beyond. So if any of this sounds good to you, feel free to check one out. I would highly suggest one of these. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoy your newfound guitar knowledge. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.